Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. My name is Jeremy Young. I'm Director of Partner Strategy here at Blumira. I got Chris Ferner with me today. Hey, Chris.
Hey Jeremy, how's it going?
Pretty good, sir. And we're going to walk through the platform. So at this point, we're assuming that you have submitted for your NFR and you've watched our quick pitch video to understand about the program and the product and where it sits. And now we're going to talk you through and walk you through the platform itself. So where Chris is now is starting out on the MSP Portal Accounts tab. And so Chris, walk us through the functionality that's available here. So assuming a partner comes in, they've never logged in before, and they would have no accounts here, but you have some.
Yeah. So yeah, you're gonna come into the portal. The first thing you're gonna see is probably the MSP portal. At this point, you're gonna just be kind of getting started for your internal use. So we're not really adding accounts yet, but just so you can kind of see, what your capabilities are here. Yeah, you're gonna have the ability to add customer accounts. It's a super easy process. You're just gonna click on add new account, and you're gonna start by adding, a customer account that's ready to use Blumira. You'd fill out the information, really just three pieces of information, and 20 seconds later, your account's provisioned, it's up and running, ready to go. So,
And a
um,
quick common question, that user count there, that is on the honor system. That's a field that you input. That's the number of knowledge workers at that organization. It doesn't change until you change it again. And that is, you see the definition there, basically the number of employees who have emails who use them.
yeah. So once you get an account created, you can easily, hop into accounts. So you can say, all right, I want to go into this account and work inside, configuring things for them, hop back into MSP portal. Very easy process, very accessible, customer settings. You have the ability to manage your users from here too. So you want to decide, I want to put this customer or this user in a bunch of accounts or only in certain accounts. You have the ability to do that kind of stuff there as well. Um,
And without paying us a dime, you are able to put all of your clients into the product on the free edition. You can do one at a time, or you can, as Chris is showing, download that CSV, uh, grab an export from your PSA and send it over to us, and we will populate it for you. Where Chris was just before is at the MSP Portal settings page. This is where you can set up your email for month-end billing reports, and it's got a link out to the pricing article there. In the future, this is where a shopping cart is going to be, so you can pick your plan and tier right in here, and you also see his history for invoices and billing reports, but that is incoming. Once you start up your NFR, you want to get deployed pretty quick. You can do so at the parent account level, or you can create a sub account. You'll want to check out a help article for that. To get to those help articles, that help button in the bottom left will take you there. But right now, we're just going to get started with rolling out a Blumira agent. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like.
Yeah. So agents, super easy to deploy. This is how we get logs from not only Windows endpoints, but Mac OS and Linux as well. So when you come in here into agent section, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create an installation key. The idea here is one installation key per account. You don't need to have an installation key per OS or per endpoint. So you're going to have no installation keys here. You're going to create one. You're just going to give it a name. And then you're going to select your installation key and you're going to get this script. And you're going to just take this script, you're going to copy it, you're going to drop it into PowerShell on an endpoint, and it's going to install the agent. You can, of course, put this into your RMM and script this as well. But this will install the agent. 30 seconds later or so, you'll see the agent online in here. It's going to be shipping us logs, process execution, all sorts of good stuff that we can use. And yeah, you'll see it online in here. So you'll have some options in here as well. Of course, you'll see a
Grabbing
list of,
that script and deploying this across all of your endpoints and servers where the OS is supported gets you 80% of the way there of the value of getting all of the Windows and Mac and Linux logs from all of the things to us. That's really our best detection set. Uh, and it takes you the furthest, the fastest. So that's gonna be the first thing you want to do. The next thing you want to do is the next juicy target for attackers, which is M365. And to do that, we're going to set up an API connection and go down to settings and cloud connectors and add cloud connectors. The majority of our cloud connectors are available in all versions. The only one that is not available in the free and everything else is AWS. It is only available on certain paid plans. But even in the free edition, you can do like M365, Sentinel-1, Duo, pick 3 cloud connectors. But of course, pretty much the first one you're always going to want to start out with is either M365, or if you happen to have a Google customer, the Google Workplace. But the setup is pretty simple here. First time you do it, maybe it takes 15 minutes. Thereafter, maybe it takes you 5. We're not going to go through the whole setup, but really it's just 3 pieces of information. And that M365 setup guide is what will step by step take you through it. There are no prereqs from a licensing perspective, but you do have to have auditing enabled. 95% of the time, you already have auditing enabled, but that's the first step so you can check. If you don't and you have to turn it on, you might want to give it a hot minute. It takes a minute for Azure to actually take that setting and make it work so that then the logs can flow. You might see, once you get this cloud connector set up, you might see an online setting for a little bit before logs start to flow. M365 sends stuff out on its own time. Uh, Whenever you get a new connection in here, whether it's M365 or anything else, even agent settings, the rules that apply to that data set will automatically get deployed. That process takes anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes. So if you try to run a test the second that you get logs flowing, it's not going to work. But after those logs become flowing, you will start to see detection rules get deployed. And Chris is going to pop into one of his accounts that has some logs flowing to show you what that looks like. So here you'll see these detection rules turn on. Now, what will be differentiated is one M365 account might have 48 rules. One M365 account might have 20. The license you have with M365 will dictate, and the features you use therein will dictate what log sources we get from that environment, which then varies account by account how many rules get deployed. Because if we're not seeing certain log types, we don't deploy log types for that or detections for that log type. So common question, like you have 20 free accounts, they all have M365 set up, but they all have different numbers of rules. Why? That's why. Uh, in this MSP portal, you can see the main high level things. You can see how many rules get deployed and how many unresolved findings. After setting up agents, after setting up cloud connectors, the next thing you'd want to do is deploy a honeypot, which also includes our Blumira sensor, which allows you to gather network firewall data. So we're not going to do the whole process, but Chris will walk you through that, and then we'll take a look at what the honeypot looks like.
Yeah. So for a sensor, the first thing you're going to do, and this is documented how to do it. But the first thing you're going to do is you're going to deploy a Ubuntu VM, and that VM is going to basically be the the base for our sensor. So you're going to deploy a Ubuntu VM, and then you're going to go in here and you're going to click on Add New Sensor. It'll have you give it a name. You'll set a location. This is mainly used for time zone purposes. And then it's going to both email you as well as in the portal, it'll give you a line of code. And you'll see that line of code right here in this box, right where this box is right here. And you just copy and paste that into the VM. Takes about 2 minutes for it to download and install all of our stuff onto the VM. And then the VM's online. It's a syslog listener from that point forward. And then you can deploy the honeypot, as Jeremy said. So the honeypot is a really neat little feature because the honeypot is going to give you an early warning if somebody's maybe poking around in your network. The honeypot's going to look like a Synology. Show you what it looks like right here. It's going to look like a Synology. So if anybody tries to authenticate to it, it's going to trigger an alert. If anybody gets aggressive with a port scan or tries to FTP to it, it's going to trigger an alert. So it's going to give you a way to see if maybe somebody is trying to find your sensitive data and trying to guess some passwords, trying to find vulnerabilities, trying to get into it. So
So
it's
when you name that sensor, you might want to name it Synology Rack Station, or Disk Station Login, or SAN, whatever. You want to make it something juicy, make a juicy target for the purpose of it being a honeypot. And that's when you deploy is it when you deploy the sensor or when you deploy the honeypot module?
Yeah, when you deploy the honeypot module, it will ask you um, what name you want to give it. And then
right.
you'll get, like you said, Synology or finance server or something. And
Password server.
yep.
Uh, a note on sensors. There are modules on the sensor for certain things, but you don't have to enable most of those modules before sending over syslog. So we have many documented firewall integrations, but the sensor also just naturally supports syslog. So if you send the syslog to port 514,
514.
thank you, 514, that's right. Uh, and if it's syslog, it will natively ingest it. You'll start seeing it there. We still support NXLog, WinLogB if you want to get Windows devices over to us in that way. There's a bunch of different ways you can go get stuff over to us, and you can go to blumira.com/integrations to see kind of the logo list, or blumira.com/support to see all of our documentation and documented integrations. Now, you did a login attempt on that. It's going to generate a finding. Where does that happen, and what does that look like?
Yeah. So findings, this is really the root of how you interact with the Blumira from a security standpoint. So when we detect things in the logs based on our detection rules, we're going to trigger a finding. A finding is kind of a security ticket. So in some cases, a finding might be one trigger detection rule, and I'll show you in a minute here where sometimes it might be a whole bunch of triggers of detection rule. So here's the one that I just triggered a minute ago on the honeypot. So this is showing that somebody tried to authenticate to the honeypot named finance from this IP address, information about the browser. So it's going to start you off here with, not just saying, hey, this rule triggered, figure it out, but hey, this rule triggered, here's automated analysis to explain, what happened, why it happened, that kind of stuff. Workflows to walk you through, what the, suggested next steps are to investigate and troubleshoot this. So not just giving you, again, an alert, but giving you actionable intelligence and step-by-step instructions to research this. So,
And your techs are going to love this functionality
yeah,
because even if they like this enables tier one techs to actually work a security incident, and it teaches them how to logically do it. So it makes them more valuable to themselves, to you, and when working in other security tools that don't give them all this information, it teaches them how to properly work a security incident. So this tool makes your team more valuable. Now, if you need support, you can get support right here in the finding by clicking on add note, and then you can send that note to Blumira and say, what do I do here? Whatever the case may be. Or you could just add an internal note for your auditing purposes. If this is something that you don't ever want to see again, if it's a uh, port scanner, whatever that you're running, you can set up a detection filter to say, when coming from this IP address, don't ever show this again. Now, that wouldn't be a good idea for Chris to do right now because then we couldn't demo this the same way anymore. But that shows you how quickly you can filter out noise to tune down to just what is actionable to you. Now, if I want more details about log level evidence, we match and stack that under the finding. Now here it's just, he just tried it twice, so we're only gonna see 2 lines. But think about password spraying. This could happen to 100 users 100 times, and instead of getting 10,000 lines of 10,000 alerts, you're gonna get or 1,000 alerts, you're gonna get one alert with many, many, many lines of matched evidence, which keeps us quiet, keeps the findings actionable, and allows you to quickly narrow down your focus of the investigation. Speaking of investigation, a new feature in beta allows you to, from this matched evidence, uh, go to our Blumira Investigate immediately to see more information about that. Now, there's not going to be a ton of data here because this is a demo environment, but it does put you into the Investigate window and shows information regarding whatever the field you chose. So that one was specifically for that IP address. But if we looked at a different finding and looked at a different piece of matched evidence, so for that user instead of the IP address, you can see uh, recent activity regarding that particular event. And so all of the events that are associated with that, in this case, user, it's showing them here in one window. So you can see over a previous time period of your choice what has been going on with this IP, this user, this et cetera, to better kick off your investigation. Now, that's a newer feature, and what has been in the product for a long time is the ability to investigate via our report builder. You want to give us a quick look at that, Chris?
Yeah. So every log that we receive, you can search the report builder. These are all hot logs. They're all kept on most of our editions for 1 year. So anything that we ingest, you have the ability to access here. So it's a very easy, intuitive process to use. So let's say we're going to search some Windows logs. So we can just run a search on Windows logs if we want to. But we can go in here and say, all right, I want just the logs from this one endpoint. So I can click on it and say add to filters. And so I've just added a filter in here for just device name equals that server. And so you can drill down here really easily. Maybe you do that and then you're like, all right, I just want to see this one event ID. So click on that, add to filters. If you want, you can also just build your own filters. You can say I want logs from a certain user, a certain Windows event ID. You can add more columns if you want. Windows logs have just a ton of columns, so it kind of depends on what your use case is, but maybe you're just not sure what columns you need. We have this super list of pre-saved reports. So maybe there's something you're looking to accomplish. We probably have a report built for it already. So maybe you need a list of all the newly created AD users. Or maybe you're working on CIS and you've got a bunch of reports that you want to pull in regards to CIS controls. So we've got a bunch of compliance reports in there too. So a lot of the things you might want to do in the logs, we maybe have shortcut the process by just creating that report for you automatically. Maybe there's a report here that kind of works for you, but doesn't exactly fit your use case. You can take a report in here and you can then go in and add more criteria to it. Maybe you want to change the time interval. Maybe you want to add some more filters onto it. And then you can go ahead and save this as your own report with your own name for you to use for yourself. So um, a lot of things you can do with the logs in here. Even if we get syslog from a device that isn't on our supported list, you can even access those syslog logs out of this same report builder as well. Um, the other cool thing that you can do based on reports is you can pivot and schedule those reports. So maybe you don't want to go in here manually once a month and create a report of newly created AD users, but that stuff's in the logs. So you can make that real easy if you've got a compliance requirement to maybe audit your logs for AD user creations once a month. You can go in here and create that scheduled report. You can decide what email addresses you want it to go to, give the report a name, decide when you want it to run. And then once a month, you're going to get an email saying there's a report ready for you. That report's going to be, in this case, all the month's newly created AD users. You can audit that against your HR records, put that report in a binder for your compliance. So there's a lot of things you can do with those reports besides, just accessing them manually.
And the report email you'll get will provide a link with the report for download. Uh, However, if that link expires before you get to it, you can always come back into the tool and build that same report from that same time frame that's always available to you. We do limit the on-screen to 5,000 lines, which makes the product much, much, much more snappy as opposed to just waiting for 30 minutes for a report. But if you exported any report from this screen to as a JSON or CSV, it's going to give you all rows that are applicable for what you found. Now, anything greater than 5,000 lines, like a human is not going to be able to read very well. So you might want to filter that down to make it more relevant before you do that. But more data sometimes is better. So export it all, drop it in Excel and do filtering there, whatever's easiest for you. Now, a long awaited feature that has been in the product now for some time is those reports are all great. It's the data, but what have you done for me lately and how can I justify this to my internal stakeholders and my clients around I want to make sure they understand the value of Blumira and why we're paying for this on an ongoing basis. Welcome to executive summaries. You can There are some configuration options. You can add or remove certain functions and pages from this. You can add your own logo. You can uh, edit some of the text. But essentially, this is a set and forget report that you can send to yourself. You can send to your clients, and you can set it up in each individual tenant. You can send it to all roles. What you'll probably want to do is send it to a specific email address. So if you're doing quarterly reviews, what you might do is set up an inbox to where this goes. All of your clients have this going to the same place, or you can send it directly to the CEO of your client inside their tenant. This is a great tool that is on any edition, including free. So we give you that crawl, walk, run approach of you can use the whole platform internally for free. You can set your clients up in the free edition and then use these executive summaries and, of course, the findings they get generated to say, hey, we just saved you from this business email compromise. We would have never seen that without log level visibility. We use the whole thing internally. We need you to do the same. And these are ongoing reminders they can get once a month, etc., quarterly, however you want to set it up, to remind them of all the value they're getting before they even pay us a dime. Now, here's the content settings to where you can customize some of the things, you can remove some of the sections. And as you see there, the historical reports, whether you send them anywhere or not, are available for download.
Yeah. And Jeremy said you can customize this a little bit here. One of these settings some people turn off because it kind of talks about how quickly you resolve findings, but kind of up to your workflow there. But yeah, this is a great thing to put in your customers' hands. They can hold it. They can see the value of Blumira. Um,
At the moment, at the point of this recording, as far as getting the findings into your PSA, it's email only and we have some articles on parsing. What we are working on is full-scale PSA integrations for ConnectWise and then Autotask and the Halo coming later this year. From a notification perspective, uh, this is the notification settings. Chris clicked on the bell icon in the top right, and you can set up how you want to receive and be notified about certain alerts in certain ways. So a common question is like, well, what if something happens in the middle of the night? I want a phone call. Great, we can call you, and you can set that up based on your settings. What you might want to do is add a ticketing user and then have a number here that goes to pager to go to your on-call text. And Chris, I'll let you take over from there and walking us through this.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you want to get, voice or text alerts, there's a lot of different ways you can do it based on what your on call and escalation workflows are. But yeah, if you want to get, phone calls, you can, fill in your phone number here and, you got to save it. And then you can say, all right, yeah, so if I have, priority one, threats trigger, that's our most urgent detection rule. That might be a case where you say, all right, if priority one's trigger, then, maybe I want to know about that via text, or maybe I want to get a phone call for that. You can set up separate text and phone call numbers. But you can do
The platform wants it to be a valid phone number.
yeah,
So if
yep,
you put in your valid phone number, it'll be fine.
yep, it's angry because I didn't give it a good phone number there. But yeah, you can set this up to, tier your alerts based on how you want to do it. Like Jeremy said, most people set up a PSA ticketing user. And then maybe they'll go in and they'll turn off alerts for all their other users, except for maybe some priority one alerts or something. But you also get notifications in here about things like your sensors having issues. You can turn on alerts for running out of endpoint agents. You can some people leave this on, but most people will turn off things about emailing when responders get assigned to findings because that just creates a lot of noise. But yeah, good amount of customization available in here. And again, these are all customizations that are available per user. So if you want some email addresses to get these notifications and some not to, very easy process here to customize those. Um,
Lastly, let's take a quick look at dashboards.
yeah,
So this is not a tool that you want to live in. This is not a tool that you need to put a monitor up in if you still have an office with techs, and have people live in it all day. This is a tool that once you set it, you can forget about it until we send you a finding. That a finding is going to arrive in your ticketing tool with, as you can see, the threat level, the name of the event, some analysis and next workflow steps. And then you're going to come in here, you're going to work through the finding, and you're going to go back to your day job. And we are only sending you actionable rules. However, we do have dashboards and they can be useful in certain scenarios.
yeah. So something that some people kind of hop through a couple of these. Some people find useful for periodic review. Security dashboard. This kind of gives you a funnel talking about how many logs were ingested. This is over a period of a month here. How many logs were ingested. How many findings were generated. shows you information about, failed user logins. You might see something here like saying, seeing a bunch of failed logins for a user. Maybe that's because somebody's trying to, password spray that user. Maybe that's because the password for the copier scan account got changed and the copier is not able to log in anymore. So, there could be some things in here that are just informational and good checkups. Information about where your logs are coming from. Some of this is also available, of course, in the monthly reports that you're going to get automatically. So, takes away some of the need to be in here all that often. But some people like to check up on this on occasion. Um, the responder dashboard, this is going to fill in based on what kind of findings, what kind of log sources you have. I don't have any geographic findings in my account here, but talking about what kind of findings you got. Again, this is kind of a repeat of the other summary dashboard with unresolved findings. And then the manager dashboard, this is something good that if you might want to do a in-person walkthrough with a customer, showing them stuff about Blumira. This chart can show you how, hey, you're investing in security. We're finding things, we're eliminating risks, we're hardening your environment. Seeing a downward trending line over time as the investments in security pay off. So these can be helpful again to talk through things with your customer. These are also things that are available in the executive summary. So less need for you to do things manually because you're getting those reports for you automatically every month.
And a few last things. You'll see a little banner up at the top, automated host isolation is running. In our XDR edition, you can set up any hosts where the agent is present to, which has the capability to isolate hosts. You can set that up to be run in an automated fashion. So you can say, yeah, for all P1 threats that come in on a device that has the agent, just automate it or just isolate that host and then I'll deal with it later. So you can set that up. You can also set it up as a rule and then mark certain devices as opting out of that. So if you have something that is too important to isolate, you can say exclude this device from automated host isolation. Once you get logs, you can also come in here and you can view device logs specifically for that device, that kind of thing. Uh, the other pieces that I want to make sure and we mention, we also support dynamic block listing. So if you have a firewall that supports dynamic block listing, you can come in here and configure those dynamic block lists. This takes advantage of all of the threat intel feeds that we subscribe to. And you can then copy these into your firewall and it will, if you're in the XDR edition, you can enable automatic blocking. Otherwise, it will send you a notification. You can decide whether to block it and add to your IP entries of blocked IPs through that finding, or you can come in here and do it manually if you have your own block lists or own domains you want. So if you don't want anybody running through your firewall to get on Facebook, you can do that through here. One of the other pieces we went through in the findings to add a detection filter, that is the scalpel. There's also a blunt object of just turning off the detection. So in here, you can both enable a disabled detection or disable an enable detection. We do deploy rules that are default disabled. We do so because we have that litmus test of anything we deploy as default enabled, we want to be actionable. Some of these things, they're valid alerts, but they might be too noisy and there might be a false positive rate that's higher than we feel comfortable deploying them as default enabled. But you can come in here on any environment, including your NFR, see what those default disabled rules are. And as you can see, this is just 10 of 62. So you can change the number of rows per page, or you can page through and see if any of these look good to you. Because we have detection filters, some of these might be things that you want to turn on. I believe there's some Microsoft 365 anomalies that you can turn on and then start to filter out noise as you get findings through them. And so you can make sure you can decide where your level of comfort is on the actionable to noise ratio based on how these alerts trigger. Uh, Other than that, I think that runs through the majority of what we wanted to get through today. While we're on this page, you can see over on the right there, filters. You can use this to see which types of detections that you set up detection filters for, and use that to edit once you actually have one of those. Um, Outside of that, there's native functionality for multi-tenancy. There's an account switcher up in the right-hand corner where in this page it says FurnerTech, but you can also then go to the MSP portal. And if you navigate to a sub account in the MSP portal, it's then going to put a little trigger up in the top left, go to MSP portal. So you'll a quick way to get back to that accounts tab. Uh, Chris, anything else we missed?
No, I think that's a good run through. Good way to get you started. But of course, we're always here to help if you want more detailed information on any part of that.
So in summary, first 15 minutes, get your agent running, get your M365 running. Uh, Next 15 minutes, add a couple more cloud connectors of what's relevant to you, then work on the sensor. And that should all take, even the first time, under 2 hours to get going. After that, it can take 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how many integrations per customer. And if you're just doing M365, we're talking about 5 minutes per customer to get going and see value within a very short period of time. So that's the long and short of getting your NFR set up at any point in time. As Chris mentioned, you can email msp@blumira.com. We'll run you through it. We'll walk you through it hand in hand. We are here to support you. Let us help. So thank you very much for your time and attention. Chris, thank you for the walkthrough, and
Thank
we'll
you.
see you out there. Thank
See ya.
you.